What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I'm your hostess, doing the mostest, Kiva, and we are here again for another Film Wednesday for Le Mois de l'Amour, the month of love in French, celebrating Black love, Black cinematography, Black filmography. Now, I know y'all are probably looking at the title of this film, those of you who've watched it and are like, Moonlight, Black love, girl, what? Listen, I googled like Black love stories, stuff like that. Any variation of how I googled it, Moonlight was on the list. All of the movies that I have chosen, I have never seen them. So yeah, Moonlight was out, but I did not watch Moonlight at all. So I'm like, okay. So I'm watching the movie, I go do the log line, you know, as I'm taking my notes or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, coming of age, Black boy dealing with his sexuality, everything like that. And then I was watching the movie and I said, wait, what? But then, you know, I had to really put like, I had to step back from what was in front of me and really take a bird's eye view. And what I found in this story about love and stuff like that is not a love story in the traditional sense of like what you would think a love story movie would be centered about. And I love that Moonlight explored love in so many other ways that had nothing to do with romance. And so that ended up opening me up to accepting in the other films, like I may be faced with something that may not have anything to do with romantic love, and I actually really enjoy that because I fear that a lot of times when we watch these shows, we watch these movies, we're always like shipping people. Like we're in the state of like shipping people in TV shows especially. And it's just like, why can't the love just be platonic? Why can't it be about themselves? Why can't it be about friendship? Why can't it be about, you know, a healthy love between parents and stuff like that? Like, why does it always have to be rooted in finding a companion to be with for the rest of your life? So hopefully I can tell the story and review what I saw and what I got out of Moonlight that would make you look at it and watch it in a new way. And if you've never seen Moonlight like I haven't, then maybe you can go into it kind of already prepared to accept love being presented to you in a different way. So this movie, Moonlight, was created in 2016. It's an hour and 51 minutes, and it's described as a coming-of-age / drama film. It's rated R, okay? The logline: a young African-American man grapples with his identity and sexuality while experiencing the everyday struggles of childhood, adolescence, and burgeoning adulthood. It was written by Barry Jenkins and Tarrell Alvin McCraney. Yes, it's the same Barry Jenkins for Mufasa, The Lion King. Barry Jenkins also directed this film. The cinematographer is James Laxton. The composer is Nicolas Britell. The production designer is Hannah Beachler. The set decorator is Regina McLarney. The gaffer is Kiva, and it stars Mahershala Ali as Juan, Janelle Monae as Teresa, Alex R. Hibbert as Chiron, aka Little, so young Chiron, Naomi Harris as Paula, Trevante Rhodes as Chiron / Black as adult, Jarrell James as Kevin at the age of 16, and what did I write this down? Yes, and Andre Holland as Kevin, as adult Kevin. I was like, why do I have Kevin written down twice? Because one is a teenager and one is not. Oh, did I mention the boy who plays the teen? in Moonlight. I think I skipped over his name. Let me look him up because he did a wonderful job. Let me see. Why don't y'all, there it is, Ashton Sanders. Ashton Sanders as teenage 16-year-old Chiron. So let me actually put that in my notes before I forget, because all of this information, as y'all know, be in the description box as well as the show notes if you're if you're listening on Spotify and Apple. All right, so we open this up with Chiron, aka Little, being chased and bullied, and he ended up being found by Juan. So as he's being chased, you're hearing, you know, the F slur, come back here with your gay ass, all this other stuff. Just kids being cruel, mean, and bullies. And Juan ends up finding him as he was hiding out. And Little doesn't say anything at all. And in a situation, especially when you see movies kind of like this, especially like 90s, 2000s, your heart is just kind of like, oh my God, like, okay, Juan like kind of looks a certain way, so you're more prone to stereotyping what this situation could be like. And off rip, Juan's like, okay, you're not talking, we gotta take you home. Where do you live? You not telling me where you live. All right, bet, I'm gonna take you back home. You know what, my girl gonna get you to talk. She can make anybody talk. And instead of this being a dangerous situation that it could have been, Little goes to Juan's house. They're feeding him, you know, and he does end up talking and opening up after, you know, Teresa affords him the space. And I think internally he feels like, okay, I can actually say something. And in this moment, you just know and you understand that this boy is in an environment at home that is unsafe and he doesn't like it. He's in an environment at school that is unsafe and he doesn't like it. And by the grace of whomever you believe in, he found two people, just normal or whatever, who were willing to protect him and offer him a place to stay, offer him a place of refuge, and literally told him, anytime that you're feeling afraid and unsafe, you can always come to our house. Get. Damn. So what I really loved about that is like the presentation of love immediately in this film came packaged into something that I wasn't prepared for. And while I thought that I would get like a love story, more specifically like black gay love, especially between black men, I got love in a way where it shows what the absence of nurturing can do for someone and what it looks like when you actually pour into someone and nurture the things in them to get them to heal. On top of that, the lighting of the dark skin was so beautiful. We have a lot of moments where it's dark outside or it's dark inside of the house. You're getting your reds, you're getting your blues, you're getting your purples, you're getting your hues in there. And the movie itself is so beautiful. I do remember when award season came around, when this movie came out, and it was getting so much acclaim and it was just winning all of the awards. Honestly, just cinematography alone, like, it looks really good. And the story itself as a screenplay is actually quite powerful, and I feel still relevant, even though it was kind of groundbreaking at its inception. I think it's still incredible and important to watch this story and tell these stories even now. So one of the big things that I really love about the film is, as Chiron is just kind of going from a child to a teenager, specifically, we spent a lot of time with him as a teen, is those moments where he's retreating into himself and trying to find that safe space, how the background music, shout out to the composer, kind of like fades and it goes into his own head, into his own world. You can hear that heartbeat, that pounding, and him just really focusing and trying to just disappear and just kind of make it through life. I love how visually and sonically that was portrayed throughout the film as well. Now, how does a boy who, while even as a child, he asked Teresa and Juan, like, what is, you know, the F word, because that's all he's been called, and Juan tells him, like, you don't let nobody call you that. That is not a nice word. But, you know, if you feel like you're different or you feel like you like boys, you know, it's okay that you don't know that right now. It's okay that you don't have the answer. And, you know, Teresa's just like, live your life and just try to have as much fun as you can. You're a kid, and even as grown-ups, we don't always know what we feel and we don't always know what we think, but either way, love yourself and we gonna always be here for you. So again, I was just thrown off thinking like, oh, it's gonna be two boys or whatever, when really this movie is a film about love as it pertains to how loving your kid for who they are, actually unconditionally, can be the most powerful thing that you can imbue upon your child, like hands down. Well, these lessons are still there with him, and we see as he's going through his teenage years, his mom, her addiction and everything is just getting much worse. She's really choosing these other men. She's really choosing getting drugs over being a parent. So you find that Chiron stays at Teresa's house more and more. And his only safe space at school is his friend Kevin, who's been friends with him since he was younger. And Kevin is like, he's always kind of like found Chiron off on his own or doing something like that, and he would break away from his friend group. He was popular. He would break away from his friend group and always go and find time for Chiron. When they were kids, and shout out to the child actors, when they were kids, the way that it was acted was very much like, not like a discovery of like being gay or being different or anything like that, but Little would just be like, you know, you don't really like have to come like play with me or whatever, like I'm cool, like I could just be over here by myself. And you could see like the questioning in his eyes and in the acting of like, why is this boy so nice to me, and why when he could be hanging out with all his other friends and he could be as mean as his other friends, he's not that way. And so it's very similar as they are as teenagers. And so there's this one scene where they're on the beach and Kevin calls him black, and he's finally like, why are you calling me that? And he was like, what? I'm just calling you like a nickname. I can't do that. And Chiron calls a thing. He's like, what dude goes around here giving other dudes nicknames? And in this moment, it's like Kevin is finally in a space where they don't really have to say anything, but it kind of answers that question that Chiron has had since childhood. Like, are you hanging out with me because you want to be my friend, or am I reading something into this that might actually exist? And in this space of just solitude, of being in the ocean, the same ocean that Juan even taught him how to swim in, okay? Just this safe space for Chiron. They actually have, Chiron has his first sexual encounter with the boy that he kind of thought he was crushing on and kind of thought was crushing on him. And all of these answers are there. Now, everything is cool. He's feeling a little bit more relief. You know what? I just got to get through high school and everything is going to be good. But, of course, Kevin's friends always got to egg some stuff on, and they play this game of knockout, and they want Kevin to knock out Chiron, aka Black. And I love this scene so much, because the way that love is portrayed between teenage Kevin and teenage Chiron, it's, oh God, how do I even put it? I don't even have any words, so I'll just describe kind of like what it is. Kevin does it because of just peer pressure and potentially not wanting to protect Chiron in a way that could potentially out him. Like, y'all just kind of had like a little thing or whatever, but you don't want anybody to know, but Kevin also doesn't want anybody to know about Chiron either, even though there's this assumption and people already been calling him this since he was like 9 years old. Okay, and so Kevin's hitting him and he's like begging him to stay down, but Chiron is getting up, and his love is one of defiance in the face of all of it, and he's telling Kevin just non-verbally, like, I opened up to you. You have to know that I love you. So if that means that I gotta stand here and get hit by you, I'm going to take it. Because in this moment, I'm not the coward. You're the coward for allowing them to influence you in this way to harm me after we just had a situation where you exposed your own love and reflected it back on me. And so Chiron, it reminded me of the part when he was younger and when they first was like wrestling on the ground, and Kevin was like, you know, you got to make sure that they don't get an opportunity to beat you up or jump on you, and you know, you can't show them that you soft. And when Little was like, I'm not soft, like I know how to defend myself. And so Kevin goes and wrestles him and they fight, and then at the end of it, you know, young Kevin was like, okay, I see, like I see you. And so now we have teenage Chiron, and you're staring at Kevin. Kevin, of all people, knows that you can actually fight, right? And you're not afraid of doing any of those things, but you just choose not to be this way and be violent because there can be another way. So standing at Kevin and taking those punches and continuously getting back up, I just thought was a very key moment in the adolescent years, and something that kind of will mar their relationship. And this will be a memory that neither one of them will ever forget in life. So there's a whole situation. The principal is involved, and I love how Chiron is not afraid to cry. He even admitted to Kevin, like, he cries all the time. And it's reminding me of Rowley Ritchie and some of his songs, specifically on the album Andy, where he talks about, you know, being raised by toxic masculinity and toxic men, and kind of being forced, like, oh, men don't cry, but he's like, I cry all the time. Like, I have feelings and I have to let them out. And him letting out his feelings and just crying and letting go of everything in front of the principal, and her comforting him and letting him know, like, I understand in more ways than one. And so you find, other than his mama, the adults in Chiron's life pour as much love as they can into him, because this is a boy where if he is not getting it from anywhere, the way that his life can go and the trajectory will not be good, and it will be a direct result of how people around him respond, while knowing that his home life and at school is not an environment in which he is safe or comforted in. So again, going back to that love and about Black love and showing love, this is about love of community and love from community. This is about coming together and holding your people up. Not every situation is going to be great at home. Some people are born into terrible, terrible circumstances, and it's really up to us around it. Seeing the kid walking to and from school every day with the same clothes on, and stopping at Walmart and then stopping them and being like, hey, you don't have to tell me everything that's going on, but here are a change of clothes. And if you ever need anything, you can always stop by this house and I will always have something ready for you. How Juan would give him money to keep and to buy food when your own mother is buying drugs and there's not food in the house. Offering up those things. You may not be the richest, you may not live in the best neighborhoods, you might have grown up in the same situation as them, but instead of exploiting it and looking at a kid like Chiron and being like, oh, I can get him on the street, I could do this because don't nobody love him, you took that person and you showed them that love can still exist in the world. And when you do that to people in those situations, they grow up still needing to unpack a lot of trauma, but they grow up able to actually love non-toxically, even though that everything around them, if you just heard their life story, everything says that they should not have grown up capable of loving anyone in a healthy way at all. And so we see Chiron as an adult, as Black, so we're gonna call him Black from now on. And Black is buff. Okay, he is not that scrawny little kid anymore. He in Atlanta, baby. He got goals in his mouth. Okay, he is rough and he is tough. He's still kind of reserved, but I think he just kind of found a little bit of like what his flirtiness looked like. What is his vibe as an adult and how he wants to present himself to the world. And we can just assume and ascertain that he's had to fight a lot just the remainder of those years in just early adulthood to just show people like he's not somebody that you can just push around and bully anymore. Now, is his life something that we would have wanted for him? No, he trapping, okay? But Teresa is very much like mom in his life, and I just love that for him. They met this boy at 9 and here he is in his 20s, and this is somebody who he still actively goes to see. He calls on the phone all the time. He checks on her, she checks on him, and it is just so beautiful. And you really get to see like, yes, you're trapping, but you can see that boy in him. And shout out to Trevante Rhodes for being able to play this so well. Like in TV shows, I've seen this in TV shows where you see that kid that was bullied and now all of a sudden they the biggest, baddest mofo on the block. And so they like, yeah, and rah rah, and all this other stuff. But Black is like, he tough. He probably has a reputation like don't mess with him. But everybody who interacts with him, even the people that, you know, paying him the money or who trapping and singing or whatever for him, there's just a sweetness in how he interacts with them. It's like there's a respect to his trapping. The people don't fear him like that. And so they're liable to like want to work well. And it seems like he also wants to keep them in a safe space. In a way, like he's a good trap boss. So that even goes to show like the love that he has in him, because Juan was trapping and selling, but Juan took him in and loved him. And I definitely believe that even though he grew up trapping and that probably wasn't what Teresa wanted, probably wasn't what he thought would happen for himself, but it just ended up happening anyway because of circumstance, he still was raised basically by somebody who showed him that just because I do this to survive don't mean that I have to be, you gotta see me beating people, gotta see me beating the people that selling drugs, gotta see me beating the people who didn't get all the money or this, that, and the third. Like Juan showed him another side to what banging and slinging looks like. And so with Black, as I said, there's a charisma, there's a flirtiness to him in this space, in this situation where it's like, okay, I would work for him. I wouldn't do the drugs, but I would work for you. Like, I don't know, something about it. I don't know how they managed to make how his life ended up sweet, but they did. And so in this, okay, he ends up getting a call from Kevin, and we ain't talked to Kevin in a long time, and I said, you punched me in my face and then left me there to get jumped by your so-called friends. And it kind of like rocks Black off kilter a little bit, and he's like, you know, I'm a chef now, you know, if you ever back in town, swing through, I can cook something for you, this and the third. So he goes back, and first he goes back to see his mama, and it looks like she was in a rehab facility for real, and kind of got like a little job in there where she's working and stuff like that. And again, going back to love, right? This is not a romantic love story in here. The mom tells him, oh, let me try not to cry. Hold on. The mom says, I love you. And I know you may not love me because I did not give you any reasons to love me. I was not the mother that created anything in you to love me. But I want you to know that despite it all, within me, I still love you. You ain't got to say it back because I know what I did. And I know I messed you up. And this is what Black needed to hear, because she was still a little, you know, she was always jealous that he was always at Teresa's house. But it's like, and when he was growing up, you're jealous and you're angry, and it makes you a worse mother, instead of looking into yourself and being like, thank God somebody else was there to help raise my child when I could not do so myself. So she finally has this moment of clarity where she is thankful that he had somewhere else to go and he had somebody to love him, because she was not doing it and he needed to feel it, and he also needed someone to love. Kids don't want to not love their parents, but when you don't feel love for your parent, while that may be the best thing for you with boundaries and for your own sanity and for your own emotional and spiritual well-being, nothing ever fills that space. You will always want to love your parents. And so in the absence of giving it to them when they don't deserve it, it's like an empty spot on a shelf where a trophy used to be, and you can see the dust particles around that space, and you will never clear that space off. You're not going to dust it off, and you will never put anything back. You're just waiting for that parent to realize that their own internal trauma, and to get some therapy and to get some help. And you're just always waiting for them to be your actual parent so that you can put them back on that space in your heart. So yes, he loved Teresa, but he's been waiting his whole life to love you back. And so he finally loves his mom, and can go down a journey where she is now the person who is deserving of receiving that from him. So then from there, he decides to head to restaurant, get him something to eat. And a guy is like, hey, what up, man? You know, just have a seat anywhere. I'm gonna be right with you. So he goes and sits at the bar. And the guy's just walking by him and walking. He finally comes around and they look each other in the face. And Kevin sees Black. And Black already knew that that was Kevin. And so there's this moment of like, whoa. And even Kevin's like, you kind of fine, right? Because sometimes from high school, people be getting mad ugly. Like, your crushes be getting ugly. Like, y'all ever look back into your old yearbooks and be like, I can't believe I had a crush on this man, because wow, you did not age well. But Kevin did age well, and he's played by Andre Holland. Andre Holland is very attractive, and Trevante Rhodes is fine as hell. So here they are, two grown men, and Kevin's like, you know what? Bump the menu. I told you if you ever in town, I can get you the chef's special. Let me go ahead and whip you up something. So he fixes him a meal. They're sitting at a booth and they just chopping it up, just catching up on each other's life. Kevin went and had a baby with the girl that he was messing with in high school, and he ended up doing a stint in jail too, and just kind of realized like this ain't no life that he wants to do, and also realizing like he was a victim of his own circumstance. And, you know, things also didn't work out with Sam, but he's just here to co-parent and stuff like that. And Black just asked him, why did you call me? And he was like, you know, I told you on the phone, like somebody came in and they reminded me of you. He was like, no. Yeah, heard that. Why did you call me? You done fixed me a meal. We still here after hours at the restaurant. You talking about any and every other thing. Why? And Kevin gets up and he says he played this song. So he goes to the jukebox and he put this song on. And the song emotionally throws them back to their own childhoods. The wrestling and the play fights and the conversations and the stolen looks and the moment on the beach. And in this moment, this is Kevin's way, without openly saying it, but saying, I'm sorry and I've never forgotten about you. So they end up leaving and they go back to, is it Kevin's place or wherever? I think it was wherever Chiron was staying. And it's still a little awkward, and Kevin ends up being like, who are you? Like, what is up? And Chiron's like, look, bro, like, I'm trapping, like, this and the third. So he was like, oh, so you hard now? Like, this ain't the person that I know. And so there's a little bit of an offense by Chiron, because he's like, you don't know nothing about me. And Kevin's like, I do. Like, I see you, and you done got muscles and everything. You done glowed up. But, like, your heart, you've always been the same. That heart has always been the same. And we finally get like a full moment of Kevin truly opening up about his role in where Chiron is even in life right now. Would Chiron have even gone to juvie if you didn't do what you did that ended up getting him to retaliate against the main bully in the way that he did? And so I love the accountability that is happening at the end with Kevin and Chiron. Oh my God, y'all, this movie, I see why this movie got so much praise. I am like super emotional. Jesus Christ, all of these films. Chiron tells him, I have never let another boy or another man touch me the way that you did. Ever. I will never forget it. It will always be here. And I don't want anybody to replace what that meant for me and what you meant to me. And in that moment, all walls are broken down, and Chiron, little baby Chiron, you can just feel the boy in him, the teenager in him, all just kind of break down as they lay their heads into Kevin's neck and just release everything and have just a moment of self-acceptance, and finally a moment of figuring out who he is in life. And the most beautiful part of this was that it was directly juxtaposed against their moment on the beach, when after they had their encounter, Kevin held him in the same way then as he does now. So there's that. Moonlight, guys. I'm like tearing up. First really love, and now this. Like, I cannot take this. And maybe it's the way that I'm telling it that's getting me emotional, but whew, what a movie. And I'm definitely emotional because just the scenes and just that strife between a parent and a child definitely really hit home for me. And then just how I grew up in some parts of growing up. It wasn't my whole time growing up, but the childhood that Little had, and you know, knowing that I have people in my family who would watch Moonlight and will absolutely be a wreck because their lives were almost exactly that way. But also just the softer parts where, you know, having cousins and uncles and stuff who banged or whatever, who were still pouring into me and making sure I did my homework and making sure I was spelling and, you know, reading, making me read to them on Saturdays or Sundays randomly in the middle of playing video games and stuff. And so it was just like to see Juan and Teresa take Chiron in, and you know, you get that don't judge a book by its cover type of situation where it's like, okay, he walking around with a do-rag, he got a wife beater on, he got this and the third, but they're still loving, caring adults who know how to pour into children and do all that they can so that the kid doesn't follow in their footsteps. So I just loved that even though Chiron did end up doing this thing, when the credits rolled, I felt confident in saying that Chiron will absolutely walk away from this life. And I feel like in that moment, Chiron was thinking back to when he was 9 years old and Juan and Teresa told him, you don't have to figure out your sexuality right now. You have time. And I feel like coming back with Kevin and both of them admitting some things that they've been holding in for a long time, it was like in that moment of laying his adult head on adult Kevin's shoulder, he was finally figuring it out and he actually had the answer. And so it ending that way just truly opens up just the imagination for the viewer, and you feel like they are going to be okay. And that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, that's all I got for this film before I start snotting and Viola Davison all on the pod. Okay, if you liked it, leave comments in the comments box below. Tell me what you thought about the movie. If you went to go see this movie off my review, come on back and tell me what you thought. Did you pick up some of the things that I picked up on? Did you pick up on different things that I didn't pick up on? Would love to know what you think. Again, I don't know if I said it because I'm just blanked out. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you pass the information along for your Spotify and your Apple Podcast listeners. And of course, you can always follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I cover all things film and television news and updates, as well as on Twitter at Kivanchi and at Kivanchi on Blue Sky Social. And with that, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next episode.